All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting. It is Tuesday, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Rolke.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
The meeting's been noticed and posted according to law.
Meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
All right, I will look for approval of tonight's agenda.
So move.
I'll second.
We have first by Alder Rostad and a second by Alder Rolke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are approved. Public comment, Matt.
There's none.
All right. New business, presentation by Rupert Milkie and discussion.
Yep. On the committee of the whole agenda.
We good?
I'm so confused.
So.
Yep.
What are you?
What's your question? Yeah.
I submitted information for the open.
Yep, that's on, council. So we have a spot for that specifically, so you don't have to sign up.
I see the spot.
We
I
should.
saw your vote at the end of your,
It's item number 17 on the agenda. Up
at the end
next
of the
meeting.
agenda, yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll start new business, presentation by Rupert Milkie and discussion regarding considerations for implementing the stormwater utility.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Matt is going to drive the presentation tonight as our IT expert. So Sam and I are here tonight to talk a little bit about the stormwater utility. As you know, we had a workshop recently about the utility with the council to just kind of go over a little about the status of where we're at with the utility as it exists today, and then kind of a forward-looking, approach to what could come next. And so, as a result, we were asked to come back tonight and to just kind of summarize some things here. So we have a fairly short slide presentation, but just wanted to kind of go through some of the things that you see up on the slide here. So kind of review, again, why is this important? We'll talk a little bit about kind of the past, some of the challenges that we face. We'll present some options. We'll talk a little bit about where the utility today is at for the city. And then we'll talk about some implementation options. So again, we just want to kind of get some of this information out in front of the public. So why does stormwater matter? I mean, that seems kind of intuitive to everybody. I always tell people that, in the business that I've been in for many years, I always find it interesting that when it doesn't rain, nobody cares about stormwater. When it rains, stormwater becomes a very large topic, a big priority. Stormwater projects are like any other projects. They can be very complex. They can be very expensive. And so, obviously up on the slide, you see a lot of things here. It protects the public, reduces flooding. There's houses that are impacted. There's a lot of floodplains. We have a lot of waterways in Columbus. So the whole city has impacts. There's obviously other impacts that we see to sports facilities and athletic fields around the city, the school, the parks, those places people recreate. So again, there's just a lot of stormwater impacts. There's pollution. Obviously, when we get floods, we have stormwater running through properties. It's washing off fertilizer. It's oil and grease off of roads are getting into our waterways, and that affects our plant communities, affects our aquatic fish and other insects. And so that we obviously want to protect that. And it's important because we also have state and federal regulations that we have to comply with. And many of those regulations are for bigger communities, but a lot of those regulations still fall down to communities Columbus's size. So preserving infrastructure, if we have severe flooding events that can cause erosion to roads, can breach dams. Again, we have a dam in town that's a safety hazard. If that's breached. So again, we want to do things to make sure that those things are remaining intact and providing safety for the people that live in and around those things. And then, anytime we talk about projects, the goal here is to reduce long-term costs. We talk a lot about maintenance when we look at roadways and how maintenance costs a dime up front, or if you defer maintenance, it costs $1 later, and that's no different from stormwater. So again, there's a lot of reasons why addressing stormwater does really matter to a community. So talk about a little bit about what we have in Columbus. So just a reminder of what we have. I mean, it may not seem apparent, but there's literally miles of pipe underground that carry water from the streets and intersections off into our drainage ways and ultimately the Crawfish River. There's a lot of stormwater basins. Those are the stormwater facilities that catch and retain water and release it at a slow rate after storms. There's 4 of them that the city is responsible for that are dry basins. So those are just, on the average day you don't see water in them, but when it rains hard, you'll see them fill up with water. And those are designed to trap that water and release it slowly. So, it's not a big rush of water running off when we have heavy rain. We have 12 wet basins. Those are designed primarily for water quality, not just quantity or rate control. So the wet basins usually are anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 feet deep. They allow particle sand or anything that gets flushed into them to settle out into the basin, and then the clean water is what discharges off the top and eventually leaves the inlet. So again, there's quite a few basins in town that are designed for that water quality aspect. We have hundreds of inlets. If you think every time you drive in an intersection, mostly around Columbus, you'll see inlets in every intersection. So we have a lot of inlets to maintain and keep clean and clear so they allow water to drain off. And then obviously we have multiple waterway discharge locations. We have Second Ward Creek, we have tributaries running into that, we have Robbins Creek, we have other ditches that parallel and come into those drainage ways, and then ultimately the Crawfish River is the main discharge point. So again, a lot of things to look at that are publicly maintained. And it takes a lot of manpower and dollars to maintain and keep that in working condition. And then there's the maintenance responsibilities. We talked a little bit about that. How do we do routine cleaning, sediment control? There's a lot of things there. We didn't mention in here, but there's also vegetation control and management. You get a lot of brush or trees or leaves or anything that grows up in these waterways or affects our inlets, that can also cause backups or issues with stormwater. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the history. So just reaching back to 2001, and the only reason I picked 2001 is that's really the last time that we've had some serious discussions about the stormwater utility. Those residents who are around probably remember the referendum vote for a user fee that was put in place for our utility. And so one of the biggest things that came out of that was talking a little bit about, well, what have we done as a city for stormwater back then? And so we answered those questions, but now since then, we wanted to kind of highlight a few things that we've done. And so there's some numbers of projects up here. Those numbers kind of correlate to the comprehensive stormwater plan that was previously done. And so just kind of going through these really quickly, there's a swale cleanup that we did out on the Gateway Business Park as part of the recommendations. There's some ditching and storm sewer replacements for our annual street projects in 23, 24, and 25. We actually have one underway this year as well. I didn't list that, but that was listed as an annual project in there. There was a large project, which is the Fuller Street culvert replacement. We'll have a picture of that later. That was number 69. 32 is Fireman's Park culvert removal. I'm sure that most everybody has seen that. There was a ribbon cutting just this past weekend. And so, again, we're just highlighting some success on some of the large projects. And then number 25 was some overdue curb that was causing some erosion and drainage issues on Warner Street. So that went in. So if we just total those up, we're talking about $1.378 million and change. So again, a large investment from the city in these capital projects, again, that we continue to see ongoing. So in the past 5 years, you can see a significant contribution for dollars. So what are the current challenges? So obviously funding is one of them. I mean, today there's a lot of need for a lot of different things, but as I talked about earlier, when we have a wet spring like we did this year, again, we start thinking about stormwater. A lot of that stormwater right now is funded out of the city's general fund through borrowing. Mainly, there is some, I think, annual budgeted, a very small dollar amount for some minor maintenance, but again, the bulk of those dollars you see are coming out of borrowing that obviously has debt service associated with it. Everybody always asks me, well, why don't we just go get grants? That's great, but in reality, those programs are funded by the state generally, some federally. Lot of times those grants have annual cycles where they're not funded or are funded at lesser degrees some years. And they're highly competitive. Everybody has stormwater, so when you think of all the communities around the state competing for the same grant, we're not that unique, and so they're in high demand, and it's hard to win those. So we can apply for them, and that is great if we can obtain those, but they're very hard to compete against. So,
Jason, can I just chime in there
Yeah.
too, that those grants require matching funds, and if I'm correct, you get additional points if you have a utility dedicated as a matching source for a lot of those, especially the state grant funds.
many grants are a 50-50 match generally, and they do obviously award points for utilities that are actively, again, in place and being funded to do this type of work. So thanks, Matt. Prioritization, so we want to talk a little bit about like how does the city decide what to improve and how is it reactive versus proactive. So again, as we kind of look through the history here, and we'll get to that in a minute, there was a large comprehensive plan done for the city, and that has to be updated regularly. We've embarked on that plan. We've completed those projects I had mentioned, but we have more projects to do, and as time passes, things that weren't on that original list will become projects. And so again, there's this kind of recycling of projects on and off the list, and needs to be continuously updated. What I think most communities ultimately want to achieve is being proactive instead of reactive. Trying to head a project off or plan for a project before it fails, and we'll talk about Fuller Street in a minute, because I think that was a great example of being proactive is something that we want to be in position to do. And that really kind of comes from maintenance. And again, I talked a little bit about that dime, now versus, a dollar later costs. But those costs also have other things associated with them. Maintenance is employee wages and labor costs. There's equipment costs built in there. There's other infrastructure that's needed. And so, to clean inlets, we need to operate the vac truck to suck those out. To clear the vegetation out of our drainage swales, we need to have mowers that can cut large brush. So again, those are all costs that we don't think about. Then we just think about pipe in the ground, but there's a lot of other costs that we have to talk about. And then it's the time spent. If the resources that we have as a community are spending time out doing these things related to stormwater maintenance, they're being pulled away from other things too. And so again, there's an impact from that as well. So solutions, the obvious, and we always start with this, is do nothing, right? So if the city continues to do nothing, from an engineering perspective, what will happen is we'll treat it, manage it like we have done it in the past. The funding comes from the general fund that takes away from capacity to do other projects in the community. Projects will be completed based on what funds are available. So again, now we're becoming much more reactive than proactive. We're not going to go out and borrow for them to do them. We're only going to do them as needed. And now we really kind of settle back into this reactive versus proactive approach. So do nothing obviously is an option, but continuing to kind of peck away at this and not looking forward is something that certainly we don't recommend. We've talked about this stormwater utility in the past, and we talked about creating a fee for it. We have a utility in place, but it's unfunded right now, so there's not a revenue source coming into this utility to help with these projects. If we create the fee, certainly, again, we've talked a lot about this in the past. It can be funded by residents, much like a water or sanitary utility or electric utility. Those are all parallel utilities that manage infrastructure, just like the stormwater would. They're able to compete for more projects, again, because we have that in place. We get more preference towards grants. And again, we're flipping this proactive versus reactive approach I talked about. And the maintenance is important. Having a steady, reliable source of income there and not having to worry about, our levy limits and some of those other things so we can keep on top of maintenance is important. So again, there's some definite advantages of having this fee in place. So talking about the utility, I had mentioned before the city actually has a utility in place. That was put in place in 2021 in anticipation of a referendum passing and being a funded utility. Ultimately, the referendum failed and a user fee was not implemented. We do have the language set up. It was adopted under ordinance, and there's provisions in there right now for the utility to operate. But it has basically been dormant at this point. We've still been borrowing money against the general fund when we do capital projects, and so really no change or departure from normal other than we have the ordinance on the books. What has changed since 2021? The city does not need to go to referendum to adopt a fee, and the reason is that there was a determination prior to 2021 that the city understood that they needed to go to referendum because of the existing laws in place. What was determined was the amount that we would have had to have reduced the levy by was based off of the general fund expenditures in the given year 2013 that was in place at the time, and not the funds that were borrowed from a capital standpoint. And the city had thought that they were going to have to lower their levy limit by a couple $100,000, and after some investigation and review, it was determined it was a much smaller amount. If it's a smaller amount, obviously the council can proceed without referendum to adopt a fee, but does have to make up the difference for that small adjustment to the levy limit. So again, there's some dollar figures there that I don't have in front of me tonight, but that was obviously, kind of going forward, the determination was that it wasn't going to be as large an impact to the levy limit if they moved forward without a referendum. The second thing that's changed is in 2022, after the referendum failed, one of the biggest pieces of feedback from the public was they didn't support the referendum or the fee simply because we didn't have a plan. They didn't know what the city was going to spend the money on. There was no long-term plan. There was no vision. There was no way to focus on these things that we talked about, like maintenance and other projects. And so we embarked on doing a comprehensive plan, and our firm went out and we looked at all the infrastructure citywide. We literally, I personally put on waders and walked out in every one of those stormwater ponds we were talking about, and checked sediment depths and checked outfall structures and erosion and animal damage and vegetation. We went around the entire city, looked for outfalls on the crawfish, made sure that we documented what pipes were obstructed, which pipes were damaged, separated, sinkholes. We found all kinds of stuff that we documented in this report, and it was fairly extensive. As part of that report, we also outlined this list of projects. I believe there was just shy of 100 projects we identified, varying dollar amounts from nominal dollar amounts all the way up to substantial $1 million projects. And so we really put a plan in place that we felt identified what the city had not previously done, which was take a real comprehensive look at everything around the city, not just Second Ward Creek, not just the dam. Those things were included, but in the past, those were things that were looked at independently. So we developed this plan to kind of set this roadmap and identify what is the true need. So in 2023, then, the council received a list of the top stormwater projects. So out of that large list in the comprehensive plan, we refined that down to kind of a select list. And as you looked at those projects that we had completed earlier, many of those projects were on that top priority list. And so as we work through those, the city obviously has completed those I had mentioned since 2021, but primarily 23 through 25. And so again, we've really been focused on having a plan, knowing what costs are, and just working towards, not giving up on doing stormwater in lieu of having a fee, but knowing that there's an impact to, the debt service and moving forward with how we're going to approach this. So we did a couple things here. What you see up here is this is the Fuller Street Improvement Drainage Project that I had talked about. So this was a fairly large undertaking. It's a tributary to the Second Ward Creek. This is up by the elementary school. This is in a floodplain zone. The pipe that was replaced here, for example, when I talk about proactive versus reactive, this pipe was identified as it was an old metal culvert pipe, large diameter metal pipe. The entire bottom had rusted out of it. It was literally just sitting there, and essentially the ground was being held up by kind of this pipe that was rusted or eroded out. Water flows through this at a fairly high rate when we get large rain events. We've seen flooding in this intersection in the past. So this is obviously a critical point where the water goes underground and then exits back out by Kiwanis Park down behind the Senex. This pipe was replaced, obviously, because we had identified the damage. It could have caused, the street to collapse or any combination of the park or anything else. And so this was a proactive project that we embarked on. So it's just a good example of identifying a problem, going out, being proactive, and replacing it. I believe the cost on this project was somewhere around $500,000. So again, substantial cost, but a project that was well overdue, and now will obviously protect this area from some of those other things that could have happened. And then obviously we just wanted to highlight the removal of the existing culvert of Second Ward Creek that ran through Fireman's Park. As many of you might or might not be aware, there was a 4-foot diameter, a 48-inch pipe that was taking all the water that you see in this picture and trying to cram it through this little pipe, which was obviously being restrictive. This obviously was determined to be a priority project. We did have the opportunity to go ahead and design this project and bid it out and work with the state regulatory agencies to get this approved. And now that we've opened it up, we've had some new paths and some bridges that make some connectivity through there. But we've opened it up and we have a lot better flow, obviously, coming down Second Ward Creek now. Probably not going to solve every problem that we have in the Second Ward Creek for flooding, but I've heard some positive things already this year that people have mentioned. With the rain that we've had, they haven't seen the water rise to the previous levels. I've heard even some impacts that have improved downstream from this area. People have commented to me, and I've always cautioned everybody to say, it's not going to solve every problem, but I think it's a great step in the right direction. So again, this project was definitely over $500,000 as well by the time we were done with it. So again, these are great projects and examples of the ones that certainly we need to continue on, and that if we are going to move forward with a funding mechanism through a utility, these are the exact projects that we would be looking at funding. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the stormwater expert, Sam, and she will take it from here.
All right. So first, before we talk about funding, we'll just go over a little definition of the stormwater utility. It's a dedicated municipal funding mechanism that manages and finances the control, collection, and treatment of stormwater runoff. Like Jason already said, it's very similar to sanitary sewer and water main and electric utilities. It's just another fee, basically, that is funded by the residents. Jason also said that the city has a utility created, but there is no user fee, which is why we're here. What are the benefits with a fee? It provides a dedicated funding source for stormwater projects. It makes capacity in the general fund for capital improvement projects for other things in the city. It's funded by a user fee. The fee is based off of need, and it's based on a predetermined amount, which the 2021 process kind of went through a little bit. So we have 3 different funding scenarios that we're going to go through. The first one is maintenance focused. It is the least costly, but it also doesn't do a lot of the things that the city wants to do. So it basically just funds annual maintenance activities. It doesn't fund complete maintenance activities, just a select few. Capital work is limited to targeted fixes. It's a medium-sized project every few years instead of every year. Major conveyance and flood mitigation remain deferred. This is the kind of projects that the city has been completing already. And then typically, we're seeing between $90 and $120 per ERU annually. Scenario number 2 is the balance program. This is the one we are recommending. This will fund full annual maintenance activities, so we'll be able to go through the entire city and do all the maintenance every year. Funds one capital project every other year, which will come from the priority list that will get updated. Builds on completed projects and addresses projects systematically instead of it'll do small capital fixes and occasional medium projects. It's predictable. It's a defensible investment strategy for the council when they bring the projects to the city. This one is the medium cost. So this one is between 120 and 150 ERU annually. And then scenario number 3 is the aggressive capital program. This is the highest cost. It'll fund the full annual maintenance activities, but also fund one capital project every year instead of every other year. Provides the fastest reduction in flood risk, but it also has the highest fee. So the fee is between 150 and 175 per ERU annually. So I was talking about an ERU. ERU is the equivalent runoff unit. It's how we would base the fee off of. So it's the average horizontal impervious area of a single-family residential lot within the city. In 2021, the lots were analyzed, and it was determined that one ERU is about 3,600 square feet of impervious surface. So the fee structure that was created at that time is a single-family residence is billed at 1 ERU, 2-unit residential is billed at 0.6 ERU, and the multifamily and commercial is billed at 1 ERU times the total impervious square footage of the lot divided by that 3,600 square feet. So multifamily and commercial are billed at a higher rate than residential is. When is it billed? There's a couple different options. Throughout the state, there's a few municipalities that will bill annually. Most municipalities bill at the same time as their utility bills, so their water and sanitary. Both options have pros and cons. So the first one, the annual bill, it's billed with the property tax bill as a special charge. It's one payment per year. There's a couple of examples. Town of Onalaska and Town of Holland in La Crosse County, they both have created stormwater utilities and bill on their annual taxes. Annual is simpler to administer because it's the one-time payment, and it's less flexible for residents because it is that one-time payment. It's going to be a higher cost right away. The non-annual is billed with your other utility bills. It's split into lower payments for the residents, and most of the communities around here are non-annual. City of Fitchburg is quarterly, Middleton is quarterly, City of Sun Prairie is monthly. Implementation, we would update the project priorities, probably add a couple more projects from the 2023 list that was created. A rate study and credit policy will be developed. Public engagement, we'll do meetings, mailers, online tools. And then the ordinance would get updated based on what we find out. We'll bring it to the council for review and adoption, and we can launch the utility at that point. Vision for after implementation. It's a predictable project prioritization, faster progress on longstanding issues, balanced funding between maintenance and capital improvements, and annual updates to the CIP to ensure transparency and accountability. Then the city has already completed meaningful stormwater work. A utility fee accelerates the process and reduces long-term costs. The community will continue to see more consistent improvements through the stormwater utility that is funded. Any questions?
Alder Rostead?
Not for you, but for Matt and Mike and Molly, maybe. What our workshop we just had, this impervious surface reduction, that's gonna be a big effect on possibly funding this, correct? With the new implementation of what you want to roll out?
Do you mean the new zoning code?
Yeah, the zoning code. Your parking requirement.
The, currently, our current code has impervious surface maximums for multifamily areas at 60%. The new code proposes impervious surface standards in all districts, but I think they're higher, like at 70 or 75%.
Okay, thank you.
And I just want to add, I think it's important to note that that's for future development. Anything current would be, until it's redeveloped, goes to the old standard.
Alder Lawson?
So I'm curious if you can help define 2-unit residential that are built at 0.6. What is a 2-unit residential?
That's a duplex, correct? Yeah, that would be
A
a duplex.
duplex or a twin home or whichever favorable definition you'd
So
like.
I get to pay less because I live in a duplex?
I think it's each side, so it goes up to 1.2 total, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the size of my duplex is not much different than, it actually is larger than some of the smaller homes in town.
Yeah, I think the way that was intended, Mike, was to split the duplex up. So the combined was paying 1.2 ERUs because the duplex likely is bigger and would have more impervious surface area. So net combined would be more than a single ERU for the average residential unit.
And then how do you handle really oddball situations, like there is a single-family home in my neighborhood that has a gymnasium attached to it, but it's a single-family home.
Yeah. So for the purposes of stormwater utility and some of the past legal challenges, the way that they're implemented is that all single families are treated equal, and that's why we take an average. So we're gonna have single-family residentials that are gonna be less than that 3,600. And so what we did last time was we actually sampled various neighborhoods throughout the city and took maybe a dozen properties out of the different zoning types because they have a different density. And then we took the impervious for each one of those samples and then we combined and averaged it, and that's where we come up with the 3,600. So the idea there is that by averaging it, you're gonna have some that are above and below, but the average across the board is gonna be 1 ERU. So everybody pays the same regardless of the size in the single family because it averages out. Where the most of the impervious is going to be found is in those larger apartment buildings and or commercial buildings where you may have, up to 10 acres of, development where you have large impervious. And so that's why it's prorated, as Sam had mentioned. We'll take that ERU, where, if somebody has, 7,200 square feet, then it's a 2 ERU. So then we'll just divide it by 3,600, and that's how we arrive at that. So again, it's not an exact science, but the good thing is that there's precedent legally for this, and it's defensible. So that's kind of how most utilities are developed.
Any other questions or discussion? What do you need from us, Matt? A decision moving forward, a recommendation, or?
My thought is that you make a recommendation for this to be taken up by the Utility Commission.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody have any concerns with this moving on to the Utility Commission? All right. Perfect, thank you. Next, discussion regarding transportation funding resolution 12-26, a resolution in support of a comprehensive, sustainable transportation funding solution in the state of Wisconsin.
The resolution in the packet is shared from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. It is a legislative advocacy effort that they are asking their members to consider, and if if this would move forward and be adopted, we would share it with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities as they continue to advocate for increased flexibility and more funding solutions related to transportation within the state. And Mayor, I don't know if you want to say anything more. You've been involved in these conversations as well.
Well, so League of Municipality representing, the municipalities across the state, everybody's seeing the impacts. And this is more of an advocacy of us as communities to send this to our legislature to get them to look more earnestly into this on ways of funding for our transportation, our roads and our bridges and such, so.
All right, any question or discussion on this? Good moving to council? All right. Next, discussion regarding Resolution 14-26, a resolution recognizing June as Pride Month in the city of Columbus, Wisconsin. Any discussion or questions, or if not, are we good moving this to council? Mayor?
I just have, a statement or two. Government recognizing a group, I don't know if that is necessarily the government's role in doing so. My question is if we are so inclined to push this forward, are we just as equally inclined to push June as Sacred Heart of Jesus Month? Would we be willing to pass that also? And if not, why? Because it's kind of the same type of concept. So I would ask you to take that into consideration.
Any discussion on that? All right, we can move in this to council? All right. Next, discussion regarding a conflict of interest policy. Matt?
So I had a couple council members bring this up over a number of recent things. I don't think there's one specific instance. The policy that is created is taken from Wisconsin statutes. If there's interest in discussion or moving this forward or referring it to another committee, that's completely within within your ability. I'd just add that if it was to move forward, under number 3, we want to add in some reference to the code of conduct that our council and committee members complete when they're appointed or elected into their positions. And then a brief change. You'll note that the city attorney got back to me with a couple of comments here. Number 6, he says we should cross off after members with a conflict, and it should read members who determine they have a conflict must abstain.
What do you
Because
mean by number 6?
on the policy, number 6 in recusal. So there's a draft
Oh, okay.
policy, and under
Yep.
number 6, it
Yep.
should read, members who determine they have a conflict must abstain from discussion. Because the onus in state statute is for the members themselves to determine if they have a conflict, not anyone else.
All right. Any questions or discussion on this?
I want to add that one of the reasons I brought this forward is that some of the conflicts that have been discussed or have been discussed with me don't apply to this, right? And that the state statute defines what a conflict of interest is, and I just wanted to kind of highlight that.
Alder Lawson?
I'm struggling to remember, but when I ran into you Saturday, I mentioned something on here and I had a concern and now it's gone.
Same, because Saturday feels like 3 months ago at this point.
There was a hole or something in the dependent children was one where it specifies dependent children, not just children.
Yeah, and you'd raised the question of whether an adult child didn't have the same,
Right.
yeah, that maybe taking dependent off of, removing the word dependent.
Yes. That was definitely one of them. And I'm not seeing anything else.
Okay, Alder Rusted?
You said adding the code of conduct was the lawyer's suggestion under,
Paul referenced under number 3 that if we're referencing the Wisconsin statutes and applicable open meeting law provisions, that we should also reference the code of conduct that elected and appointed officials sign.
Did you have something else, Alder Rusted? Are you thinking?
thinking.
Do you want us to hop to Alder Lawson quick?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Alder Lawson.
So I think I remembered what the other thing was. So, a lot of city staff are also members of service organizations, right? And in their work, sometimes those things overlap. And so there could be a conflict there. And I'm not sure if people even think about it as a conflict and can self-identify in those situations.
I acknowledge that that is real. I don't have a solution.
Any other questions or discussion? And Matt, you took that down, I'm assuming, to noodle on.
Yep.
Okay. If nobody else has anything, is this good to move forward? Okay, perfect. Next, discussion regarding ramp credit card and expense software. Is this you, Kendra?
Yep, that's me.
Hi, everyone. So I was tasked with a strategic plan objective of finding multiple revenue sources for the city and finding credit cards that give us an ROI. I reached out to a few places to get some presentations and information. I reached out to State of Wisconsin for their P card program. And the problem I see with the P card program personally is there's an audit required, which costs money. Less freedom of use because it's a $5,000 limit and under, and then no cash back. So we don't get an ROI from using that. So it'd be similar to what we're doing now. I also reached out to American Express. And to me, it seemed like it was better for private sector and corporate businesses because of the flight packages, hotel discounts, and the rewards. You only get gift cards, Amazon points, or the airline hotel points. You need a separate expense software to connect, which would be $250 plus a month, and Amex is also not used everywhere. And F&M is our current provider. We love them. They're free, and Visa can be nearly used everywhere, but we don't have a software to connect to, which would also cost money, and we're trying to make more efficiencies in our department, and the manual process with getting everyone's credit card transactions into our ERP right now is just extensive, and it takes a lot of time from city staff and also my team. So then I met with Ramp, and Ramp has an ROI, so it does have a user cost, but we get 1.5% back on every single purchase we make with the cards. So I did a little math in there. I don't know if you can pull that up for me. And I doing great.
Gotta get through the marketing material.
Got to get through the marketing material. They're also the only ones that made me a presentation. Shout out to them. They're very nice. Okay, perfect. So I did a quick mock-up of what we currently have. We currently have 15 city staff members that use cards, but if we switch this, we could potentially have more people using cards to get more ROI. So with the platform fee would be $144 per person per year, and that's an expense software where when you use the credit card, it automatically goes to the email or a text on the phone, and then they can upload their receipt right away. There's accountability for audits, and then it automatically imports into what our new software is going to be, which is Workhorse. There's an integration there, so there's an import, and everything's accurate. There's no mistakes, and we also get money back, and I think that's a win. It may not seem like a lot of money, but I think any money is good money. And that's all I got.
Anybody want to disagree with Kendra on any money is good money? No, just kidding. Anybody have any Alder Lawson.
Just one comment. So I work for a company that does credit card transaction processing, so I'll abstain from voting. But, general question, I know you reached out to 3 different, vendors, but if what you got back wasn't really allowing you to compare apples to apples, are we really meeting the intent of the purchasing policy?
I was under the impression I was meeting the purchasing policy by reaching out to 3 different companies because they all had a cost associated with them, but that's up to you guys to decide.
Just a question.
Any other questions or discussion on this?
There's no setup fee. It's
Nope.
just the 144
Yep,
per
that's it for
user.
government agencies. If we were a corporate agency, it would be different, but for government agency, they just do that flat fee of the user.
And then I think I'd have to agree with Alder Lawson. If it's not apples to apples, I don't see it as being a comparison. I guess I would argue that you are. I mean, you did supply 3 quotes for say, but they're not apples to apples. But I don't know if there's other people out there that are like Ramp. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
if
not-
anyone has suggestions and they want me to come back with the suggestions that you know of, I can do that, and I can reach out to all those other companies, but I don't know who those companies are to reach out to.
Any other questions or discussion? Good moving forward? Okay. That is all for Cow. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
so second.
Ooh, we got first by Alder Rolke and a second by Alder Rosted. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's regular Common Council meeting of Tuesday, May 19th. And welcome to those that will be watching the video later on. Could I have a roll call, please, Matt?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Rolke.
Here.
Rossett.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I acknowledge that this meeting was properly noticed according to state statutes, and I would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Finkler. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. Next, you have, is department reports for file. Oh, public comment, I'm sorry. There is none. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Just want to zip through this, so. Department reports for file, the Columbus Area EMS of April of 2026. The Community Economic Development of April of 2026. Fire of March and April of 2026. Library of April of 2026. Police of April of 2026. Recreation of March and April of 2026. And Treasurer of April of 2026. And I believe actually with fire, we had gotten to March.
Yeah, an email came out.
And yeah, Jared sent an
Yep.
email saying that, unfortunately. So it was only March, not April. And then next would be to approve tonight's consent agenda, and that has the Committee of the Whole and Common Council meeting minutes of May 5th of 2026, Common Council meeting of May 7th of 2026. In the council, would note on page 28 that Amy Rolke abstained when it came to the tourism grant. It has her as voting no, but she actually abstained. And that was for the tourism grant. Okay, and then next would be to, on there is also to approve the temporary alcohol license for CHLPC Summer Concert Series, which will be held on June 17th of 26, July 15th of 26, and August 12th, 26. Then also is to approve the fireworks permit by Spectrum Pyrotechnics in Fireman's Park for the 4th of July celebration on July 4th of 2026 with a rain date of July 5th. Approval of the temporary Class B license for the 4th of July organization from July 1st through July 5th, and approval of the temporary alcohol license for Columbus Crawdads Baseball Club for games between May 25th and August 2nd. And in your motion, you do not need to repeat all of it.
Motion to approve the consent agenda with clarification on number 6, May 25th through August 2nd. Not just the 2 dates. There's
No,
10 days in
there's
between.
total of 10 games.
Okay.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Finkler. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next would be number 7 under new business, and that is to consider and take action on Resolution 12-26, a resolution in support of the comprehensive sustainable transportation funding solution in the state of Wisconsin.
I'll move to approve Resolution 12-26.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Reed. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8 is consider and take action regarding Resolution 13-26, accepting certain improvements in Cardinal Heights. This has December 16, 2025, was that, which meeting
That was
was?
the last time, that was the council meeting of December 16th. That was the last time this issue was discussed by the
alright.
council.
All right, just verifying, so.
Motion to approve resolution 13-26.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Finkler. Any discussion on this item here? Alder Rosted?
Page 47, under be it there, number 4, no storage of materials or equipment will be allowed on the street. We don't enforce that anywhere else in the city if there's a build going on, so why would we require that in a new development area? Because I'm doing it right now at my house. I'm putting a new roof on, and the trailers in the road, dump trailers in the road. It's not enforced.
Thank you for letting us know. I'll be over tomorrow.
I'll be there waiting for you.
I guess I would say on that, we don't want trusses stored in the middle of the road, blocking the right of way. Trailers could be considered differently, but we're talking about like prefabricated walls, and shingles, HVAC systems, stuff like that.
Something to add, Jason?
Yeah, just kind of, this was a city engineer ad. We have people actually utilizing that for access to their homes because of the existing farm home accesses off of this drive. And there's been multiple occasions where we've had actual building materials, not just trailers. Again, I don't think we're enforcing the trailers, or that's the intent here. It's just we've had, backhoes parked on the street and both sides. So it's not a wide street now. So it just makes navigating that very difficult. And so we just wanted to have something so we were able to enforce that as needed. And again, I think primarily for those type of things Mike was talking about is what we're really targeting here.
And we've really seen good compliance on that this spring, and I think certainly in the winter too, we've seen good compliance on that.
Yeah, there's just been a few minor cases that we've had to enforce, but as a part of the resolution, we just want to memorialize that, so we did have it in writing.
Alder Rolke.
I just wanted to make a note, since this will be a voice vote, not a roll call vote, that I will be abstaining on this vote.
Any other discussion on this? Okay, well, this is just reducing, so this would be just a regular voice vote. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Alder Rolke, okay. Then next would be to consider and take action on the letter of credit reduction for Cardinal Heights to be reduced to $45,000.
I'll move to approve the letter of credit reduction for Cardinal Heights to be reduced to $45,000.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rostedt. Any further discussion on this item? Alder Rostedt?
I guess I'm just looking for of how we got to the 45,000. I didn't see anywhere in there of how we got there.
Well, go ahead, Jason.
Unfortunately, this has got Jason's fingerprints on it too. So 45,000 was kind of derived from various different things that remain, and the reason we're here tonight is there's still been work going on out there. So what we have to do is determine the value of what remains and any potential repairs or things that we know exist. So I don't have it in front of me, but I can give you a few things that add up to this. So the recent things that were put in were the street trees. But we still had, at the time of creating this, we still had the vegetation to plant in the bottom of the stormwater basin. So that was a requirement. We're holding some of this money back as a result of, we know that there was some sidewalk poured in some rain conditions that were suspect that are under warranty. So if that fails, we have to have money to pay that back. There's also some other things associated with pavement damage and curb damage that we know right now. Now, we don't believe that necessarily falls back to the original developer. But with that being said, that was constructed well before we accepted the resolution. So now that we've documented that, that'll have to be corrected, whether that works out to be somebody else taking responsibility for it or him. We want to hold that back as a protection for the city to ensure that occurs. So through some of that damage that we've seen, some of the work that still remains out there, like the planting of the stormwater basin, we've arrived at the $45,000. And again, I think last time we reduced it, it was $365 down from $1 million something. So we've made some pretty healthy reductions on this. So we feel pretty comfortable about where the project's at. We do know it's under warranty for the development agreement. He's still obligated to make the repairs, but this letter of credit's in place just to ensure that we do have the money in case there's the default or something happens. So again, I can get you some more detail if you wish, but it's not a lot of things, but you know, $45,000 is what we're recommended. The other part of that 45, just so you know, is there is an administrative fee that we hold back as well. I believe of 15% per the development agreement. So in case there is a default and you guys have to pay, for example, me to go out and find somebody to make the repairs, you have money to cover that too. So again, that all kind of bakes into the number, but there's various things that make up the 45,000.
Any other questions or discussion on this? Hearing none, then all in favor?
Aye.
This is money. This will have to be a roll call vote.
It's a reduction.
Yeah, we're not
We're not
spending
spending.
money.
I'm just going through Susan's notes.
Oh,
okay.
Susan says so, we got to do it.
Okay, roll call.
Rosted,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Rolke.
Abstain.
Okay. Then next on the agenda is to consider and take action on Resolution 14-26, a resolution recognizing June as Pride Month in the city of Columbus, Wisconsin.
I'll move to approve Resolution 14-26, a resolution recognizing June as Pride Month in the city of Columbus.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rolke. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then next is to consider and take action on an amendment to the lease agreement with Columbus Country Club.
I'll move to approve the lease agreement with Columbus Country Club.
Reed seconds.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Reed. Any further discussion on this item? Alder Lawson.
Yeah, so I think the design changed a couple of times, right, Matt?
Correct.
And the one that we're seeing in the packet, that's the most recent?
It's the most recent, it's what went out to bid, and it's what was shared with the country club prior to their membership vote last month.
At one point, I think there was at least discussion, I think, of another access point, walkway, something, maybe from the path, or maybe it was where the path was being,
It was from the courts to the immediate west and has been resolved. I think this is a better plan that addresses better pedestrian movement as well as concerns from the country club.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Then, hearing none, does she have a roll call or no?
This is a roll call.
It is a roll call, okay.
Finkler,
Aye.
Rosted,
Aye.
Rolke,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Okay, I'm just gonna look to you because she has her set pattern written out, so. Okay, then next would be to consider and take action on the award of bid for the construction of the pickleball courts to Holtz Builders Incorporated for $309,143.31.
So move.
I'll
Sec-
second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Roki. Any further discussion on this? Alder Lawson.
Just clarifying, so we're just approving the bid, although we have some information in here about, naming rights, we're not approving that, right?
I guess if there's a concern with that approach, it'd be good to know because Amy, Joe, and I intend to go and meet with prospective businesses with that plan of covering that funding gap. And that if we're not able to do that, we'll come back with the budget amendment at a later date to address how we would cover the additional expense of the project.
Okay, so then I just have a clarification question. These are two different naming options, right? So businesses have, or anyone has the option to have the full facility, and then each individual court would have an additional name?
You could have that.
Could.
Not saying that,
That's where we'll end up, but,
yep. Flexibility and options.
okay.
Excuse me. Any further discussion on this? Okay, then roll call, please.
Rolke,
Aye.
Rosted,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next would be to consider and take action regarding the ramp credit card and expense software. Oh, jeez. Small print tonight. Consider and take action on the conflict of interest policy. Thank you for pointing that out.
I'll move to approve the conflict of interest policy with the update to remove dependent, right?
And include Paul's two.
Oh, yes, and include Paul's updates.
Second?
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rosted. Discussion, Alder Lawson.
Yeah, there was one other thing you were gonna try to see if it could be addressed.
Which was?
Was the service organization thing? Do we want to approve it and then see how that
Is-
could be interpreted going forward?
Is there an example that you could give?
Yeah,
I mean,
There's a real world example. I think at one point in one of the committees, there was a discussion about printing something, right? and someone said, oh, as part of my membership with so-and-so, I know we can get them to do a printing job. And, well, that's great. If you have an interest in that organization and you don't go out to like find other bids to do that printing job, then that could be considered a conflict, right?
And where would that fall on the policy?
I think it might be more of an educational thing, because it's there. Sorry, thank you. I think it's there, it's just,
It's the self-identifying part.
whether people can really identify, like, oh, that is a conflict too.
And I think you're right on the education part of it.
It could go under recusal as well. You could have another bullet point that lays that out.
Well-
My suggestion is that, as you stated, education, Susan and I May is quickly disappearing, but May in the past 2 years has been a committee orientation opportunity, and although that may spill into June this year, we both still intend to do that for new committee members and any committee members wanting to attend. So that's something that we can add in with some scenarios and give some examples and hopefully address or answer any questions that anyone may have regarding those kind of issues.
Is everybody satisfied with that? So Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. I guess I feel like it's more or less covered under number one purpose for the must be free from personal, financial, or organizational conflicts of interest.
Oh.
And just having that little bit of education piece on
Yep.
what counts as an organization.
Yeah, thanks it's right there. So good, that's good. Right. Any other discussion on this? Okay, then with those adjustments made, are we good with, all those in favor?
I
Opposed? All right, then next would be to consider and take action regarding RAMP credit card and expense software.
I'll move to approve RAMP credit card and expense software.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Roki. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call.
Reed,
I
Lawson,
Abstain.
Rolke,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Then next would be to consider changing the date for the Common Council meeting to accommodate National Night Out on August 4th. So would we be looking at August 5th then for
That's the
the
recommendation.
recommendation?
I'll move to approve changing the date for the Common Council meeting to accommodate National Night Out from August 4th to August 5th.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Roki, second by Alder Lawson. Further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then next would be to consider and take action on claims in the amount of $465,112.86.
I move to pay the claims in the amount of $465,112.86.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Lawson, second by Alder Rosted. Further discussion on the claims? Hearing none, roll call.
Finkler,
Aye.
Reed,
I
Rosted,
Aye.
Rolke,
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Okay, then. Next on the agenda is to consider and take action on the appointment to fill District 1 council vacancy. I don't have my paper in front of me. So who is the first? Yeah, I know.
I pulled it up on the screen. Nathan Barnes, in alphabetical order, would be the first candidate.
Okay, Nathan, if you would like to come up. And I think David is turning your microphone on. Yes, he turned it on.
I was going to wonder if I was going to have to fight with that. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity for the consideration for filling the vacancy for District 1 Alder. My name is Nathan Barnes. I have lived in the city of Columbus for about 8 years. I'm a father first. I'm a veteran. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I'm a firefighter here in the city. For professionally, I work as a safety advisor here at a local manufacturing facility where my focus is on the safety of the staff that I work with and improving systems and processes on a daily basis. Beyond my career, I'm involved in our community through the fire department, where I'm currently the public education coordinator, where I organize and coordinate public education activities, trainings, and community events. It's given me the opportunity to connect with community members of multiple ages and better understands some of their needs and the concerns that they have. My background is diverse, but consistent in one key way. I've been centered on service. After I left the military, I served as a correctional sergeant here with the state of Wisconsin, where I served in both prison settings as well as community AODA program. I worked as a family support worker and a fatherhood support specialist with Children's Wisconsin, and working with our local manufacturing business here, I worked as a quality inspector where I understood manufacturing processes and quality control systems. Each of these roles have strengthened me in my ability to communicate, solve problems, and make balanced, thoughtful decisions. I'm interested in this position because I saw a need to step up and serve the community in a different capacity. I believe deeply in being an advocate for all people, and I'm committed to representing this district fairly and effectively. While I have a strong passion for public safety, I also recognize the importance of balancing that responsibility with quality decision-making, fiscal awareness, and long-term decision planning with the community. If selected, my approach will be to listen first, collaborate openly, and make decisions based on what is best for the entire community. I value transparency, respect, and accountability, and I will work to ensure that all voices are heard, even when perspectives differ. This is a great community, and I care deeply about its future, and I'd be honored to serve in this capacity as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And who's next on the list?
Hold on,
questions.
hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah, sorry.
So just in terms of format, how we've got this set up is allocation of 10 minutes for each candidate. So any questions you have after they make their opening statement, go through those questions at that time. Once all 4 candidates are finished, I'm going to go through some instructions and some heads up in terms of the next steps in the process, just so that everybody's on the same page as we go into that part of it.
All right, anybody have questions? Alder Rosted?
Question for Matt. Being that he's a city employee, when it comes to a budget, anything with the fire, will he be able to vote on the budget as a whole, the way we do it now?
From the conflict of interest discussion that we've had, no. He would not be able to vote on the budget, anything fire department related. Anything else, as far as I can tell, he would be able to. And just maybe a starting point here is state statute allows a city employee, specifically a volunteer firefighter, who makes less than $15,000 a year, which Nathan definitely qualifies based on his compensation from the city for the fire department. I think it was, well, we won't get into it, but it wasn't anywhere near $15,000. In a community over 5,000 people and a threshold of under 15,000, they're allowed to serve on the council. That's a specific call out in state law. But there are some things that he's obviously would have to recuse himself from or abstain from voting on.
And then two questions for you, Nate. Obviously, serving with you, I know Tuesday nights are your drill night, so you would be, councils are the first and the third Tuesday. Is that gonna affect your status of 60% or your rank at the firehouse?
We do have the ability to work with the training committee where, and kind of coordinate to make up those drills that would be missed during that time. But obviously, if I would be attending the council meetings and not making up those drills, then that would.
And then, are you looking just to fill the position through April of '27, or would you rerun for re-election?
I guess my intention right now would be to fill the vacancy and, kind of gain that experience and see if that was the appropriate action to take after that time. But I have no intention of moving at this time.
Thank you.
Alder Lawson.
Nathan, if you were to pick one topic, concern, service in the community that you're most passionate about, can you tell me what that is and why?
Well, I mean, obviously, public education is, I'm passionate about training. I like, conducting activities where I'm teaching somebody something. Most recently, just back in November, I partnered with a training company where I'm able to provide first aid training, like babysitter courses, things of that nature. I'm passionate about, expanding, public safety type topics, talking about specifically fire safety around, my experience with the fire department. And I'm excited about kind of expanding my role as a public education coordinator to do more of like a risk reduction type program where it's more focused on improving community safety as a whole versus just kind of pigeonholed into Fire Prevention Week.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Nathan? All right. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
I can't see it up there.
Yep, Rhonda Haberman, I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure.
Good evening. I don't
Hey.
think I know any of you these days. I grew up here, graduating class of 1992, and embarked on my journey to further myself. I've been all over the country, tried to stay in North America. I have 3 college degrees: accounting, marketing, and management, a professional designation that has expired with the Association of Appraisers. I was a senior appraiser. So when it comes to city infrastructures, police departments, school districts, hospitals, if it exists, I've had experience going into those businesses for a reason, to help them value it, solve a problem, find efficiencies, and move forward. This would also include the Veterans Administration. If you remember, they had a big scandal in the early 2000s when people were walking off with stuff through their hospitals. I was part of the team that would go in to audit them and to find out where the deficiencies were. And that's been very fulfilling. I've gone from Columbus when it was 2,500 people to, 5,300 these days, where one traffic light is now 3. When I traveled around the country, I have been in just about every kind of business you can think of. So I'm really passionate about digging in, helping people, being that voice, taking what is on one side of the table and being that match or that communication to the other side, whether it be employees and leadership, or cities, infrastructures, school districts. That's where I have bridged the gap with my experience. So moving back to Columbus has been an emotional time for me, because once I left, I was off, away from everything to see the world, and then COVID hit, which almost killed me. My mom died, which, again, almost killed me. And so I moved from Franklin. I lived in Franklin for 25 years. And I bought the house, and I moved back home. There's probably plenty of people here who saw my units thing in my driveway because it took me a year to unload it, or you helped me with the gas leak I had at my house. So I am here to help. I can very much benefit the city, the community, my neighborhoods. I'm familiar. Platforms for processing and return on investment. That's that information, those projects. I have knowledge, experience in all of that. Budgets over $400+ million. I work for one of the largest healthcare companies, nonprofit healthcare companies in the United States. So that's why I'm here. I want to give back to my community. When I grew up, things were different. And I want to be that voice that listens, and it's not about politics or who knows who. It's about listening and doing what is right, giving the right voice to everybody, the right attention to everybody. That's part of what I did when I became the condominium president of my condo association in Franklin. When I first moved in there, I was young, a lot thinner, and they saw me as a troublemaker because I had a little red sports car. But as time went on and things happened within the community, I saw opportunities to make changes, improvements, working with the city of Franklin. And I served as their condo president for 10 years. So here I am today, back here in Columbus, where I started, and I am hoping, whether I fill a position or not, I want to be a part of the community. I have the ability to help. I have knowledge in just about every area you can think of, except for fighting fires. And so I would like you to consider me for the position, and I would be greatly honored.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Rhonda? All the rest.
I'll ask the same question to everybody so everyone knows it's coming, I guess. Looking to just fill the position or have the urge to run for reelection?
Usually when I start something, I don't quit. So I have spent a fortune on my house, remodeling it. My mother would be very proud. And I believe that they are going to have to roll my dead body out of there. So I plan on staying for a very long time until I have to go. But I believe that I can support the city. I can support what you're doing. I can support responsible management, responsible spending, capital improvements, all of that. I have knowledge, experience from all over the country. I have a little blurb on there, which I didn't go through that because I figured you didn't want me to read that to you. So I have the knowledge and the passion to do it. And like I said, whether or not I am appointed, I'm more than happy to become a more, it's taken some time for me to reacclimate to being back here, but to be a meaningful, productive, positive part of our city and our community.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Then next would be Sarah Motif.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm honored to be considered for the District 1 Alder vacancy. My name is Sarah Motif, and I am unwavering in my commitment to public service. Throughout my career, I have cultivated a diverse and robust set of skills that make me uniquely qualified to fill this role. My experience is in policy development, economic development, government affairs, and accounting. This provides a strong foundation to serve District 1 with vision and impact. From a financial perspective, I bring a comprehensive understanding of financial analysis, budget development and management, grant procurement, financial reporting, and the implementation of internal controls and procedures. These capabilities, combined with my public relations and policy expertise, position me to actively drive the city's progress toward meeting the ambitious goals that were outlined in the 25-27 strategic plan. The main priorities in the 25-27 strategic plan were: one, with the financial sustainability, including budget review, debt planning, and review of revenue sources, including possible new non-levy revenues, which was talked about at the C.O.W. for the stormwater fees, is just an example. Sustainable growth and development, implementation of new city facilities, utilization of TIF plans, community development grants, loans, tax credits, and state economic development assistance programs. The organizational culture, ensuring resources are available for effective employee recruitment, retention, and training of our current employees. And the last priority was communication and engagement to ensure progress continues with city strategic initiatives for things like voter registration and other initiatives. I have previously served 2 terms as an alder for District 1 of the City of Columbus. During these tenures, I gained a deep understanding of the dedication, time, and attention to detail required to serve the community effectively. During my last term, I made a very difficult decision to step back due to personal and professional commitments. Having had a recent change in my life, I am now retired from full-time employment, which gives me the opportunity to give the time and attention that I was afraid I could not give if I continued to be an alder for the City of Columbus. During my previous term, I served on the Utility Commission, the Community Development Authority, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I served on the ad hoc committee to form the stormwater utility, create that policy, and educate the community on the referendum at the time. All of these different experiences have definitely broadened my understanding of our city's needs and expectations. With my experience and knowledge, I am fully prepared to ensure a seamless transition and deliver proactive and effective leadership for the remainder of the vacant District 1 Alder term. And to answer Alder Rosted's question, yes, I would like to run again once the term is up. And it would be my honor to serve the City of Columbus once again, and I thank you for your time and look forward to any questions.
Well, any further questions that you have? Okay. Any other questions for Sarah?
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sarah. And Mr. Paul Pfeifferon.
Good evening, Mayor Hammer and City Council. My name is Paul Pfeifferon. I reside at 435 South Main Street. I previously served here on council representing District 2. I vacated my position as I bought a new house out of my district. Since moving, I had run in a recent election, and I was unable to beat this gentleman right here. So here I am. I still serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals And when I learned about this opportunity, I felt it was time to step up and further serve my community once again. However, as we can see here, there are many other interested candidates, any one of whom can offer a new vision or a new outlook for the city of Columbus. However, that said, I'm also a proponent of new blood. With this said, a potential candidate here who has previously served can offer ideas and or opinions on past experiences coupled with a new vision, yet a new face might have an insightfulness that we have not yet encountered. Thank you, and the choice is up to you.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Paul? Alder Lawson.
Yeah, Paul, what current topic that the city is encountering are you most passionate about and why?
I'm not going to lie. I have sort of been absent of city council for a while. I was sort of giving myself time off, and then when this opportunity came here, I said, I'm going to revisit it right now. So I really cannot answer that question. The entire city is my passion.
Okay. Alder Lawson? Rosted, sorry.
Just to fulfill the vacancy, or will you rerun?
Well, not that I'm running against you anymore, I might be able to run.
Any other questions for Paul? All right. Thank you. So did she have pieces of
Yeah, I'm
paper
gonna, well, I'm gonna go through the process here.
Okay.
Okay, so.
That's right, we did adopt, and now I get it.
A member of the council shall nominate a person to fill the vacant council seat. The nomination shall be seconded by another member of the city council. There can be more than one nomination. There's no limit on the number of candidates nominated. This is where it gets interesting. After all nominations have been moved and seconded, the members of the city council shall vote on the nominations. In the event of a tie, the mayor shall cast the tie-breaking vote. So say 3 candidates are nominated and the vote is 2-2-1. The mayor would break the tie. So if there's only one candidate nominated and that candidate gets 3 votes, they fill the seat. Questions, concerns, thoughts? It is not done by paper. It is verbal voice, roll call votes on all nominations.
Well, so I open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Rhonda Haberman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Rhonda Haberman. Do we have any further nomination?
Reed will nominate Sarah Motive.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Okay, no second. Do we have a further nomination? Alder Lawson?
I'd like to nominate Nathan Barnes.
Okay. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? No second. I will then ask again, are there any further nominations? Second to final, further nominations? And third and final, any further nominations? Okay. Then we have the nomination and the second. So all in favor of, what's that? Oh, it is a roll call, I think.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
We good to
Yeah.
vote?
Yep.
Okay. Rolke,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Rosted,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to thank all the people that came forward. That's, I mean, that's great. That's
shows, good community commitment. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Got a statement for you to read, Mayor? The bottom.
The bottom. Okay. By majority vote, Rhonda Haberman has been declared the new alderperson, District 1, for a term to begin June 2nd, 2026 until April 20th of 2027. That was it? Anything
Flip
further?
the page and
Flip
make
the
sure there's
page.
nothing more.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
And then at that night, the city clerk will swear you in. So, yeah. Unless you would, come into City Hall ahead of time. She's away on a conference right now, so.
I was
So.
just joking, I usually don't even get dressed during the meeting, as long as I'm not on camera, so I can come in whenever it's convenient.
Okay.
We're gonna connect after the meeting's done.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
Should I be sitting down?
Okay, now we have city officer reports.
I just want to echo, I don't have a lot, I just want to echo the mayor's comments in that it was great to have 4 interested applicants, and I hope that the other 3 selected can stay engaged, involved, and feel free to reach out to myself or the mayor in ways that can happen. I know we currently, I believe, have a couple of vacancies on committees.
Yeah.
And would love to have your involvement with the city.
Okay. This past Tuesday, I attended MEUW, which is Municipal Electric Utility of Wisconsin's Legislative Day at the Capitol. And that is to take up key issues that, as public power utilities, that we are looking to address. Affordability and reliability being one of the key issues. We are also looking at, right now with the water rate, there are simplified case rates that you can go through that just makes it easier to raise the rate at a smaller increment, and we're trying to get that on the electric side instead of having to go for a full boat, which takes a long time and costs a lot of money. And then while I was there, I brought up about the nice trucks that come through the semis with their beautiful odor, and just asking if there could be a reroute of such trucks that they don't go through the city, or is there a deodorizer that can be added to the product? I'm sure all of you have at some point smelled it. So I actually drove by the farm that's out on the, getting onto the 151, and that smelled so much better than what the trucks do. So
They have thankfully stopped for the spring.
yes, and now until fall. But I'm besides speaking with them in person, I'm also going to be sending emails to them too, just to see what can be done. Gave a city hall tour to St. Jerome's third graders. That was a lot of fun. Some really good questions. Didn't get asked where my bedroom was, though. So, and then congrats to this year's graduating seniors. Attended the senior awards night. That was an awesome night. I think we got a lot of great kids in this community, and it's always great to see the successes and the celebration of those successes. And with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rusted to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.